Bastiodon comes back in. Toxicroak absolutely walls this thing. Lay it the smack down here like the rock on this Wigglytuff. Get it out of here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like 5MG Matthew 5, thank you for the support. In today's video, we're taking a look at a preview for the Great League Remix. This is a format 4-Go Battle League running between April 12th to April 26th, in which the 10 most popular Pokemon are banned. Now, these Pokemon are here on the screen. Not really too many surprises here. Maybe Raichu and Marowak being the only ones. Now, I know a lot of people wanted to see stuff like Deoxys, Tropius, more exclusive Pokemon that people don't have access to being banned. However, based on the criteria for it, it makes sense that those Pokemon wouldn't be as common because less people do have them, so you're not going to see them as often in the meta. Now, unfortunately, that means they're going to be very prevalent in this meta, and you're probably going to see a couple of them on most teams. So for this video, I am featuring 9 different teams here. These teams vary between budget teams, meta teams, teams that don't make sense, teams that get swept by one Pokemon. Look at that double ice one. Does not want to see a Shadow Fortress. I know what you guys are thinking right now. Hey Ox, aren't you that guy who got to 2950 on Monday, started the next set 2-0, then finished 2-3, and over the course of the next 5-6 days dropped into the 2700s? Yes, that is indeed me. With that said, I do think that this video can provide a preview of some teams you might expect to see, or at least some team ideas, team comps. I mean, the Pokemon might be different than what you see here. A lot of these teams you're probably going to see like Charmhole, Bastiodon, Double Fighter, Triple Weather Ball. You know, these are teams that I think you're going to see. There's going to be a lot of Deoxys, a lot of Registeel, a lot of Bastiodon. These are team ideas, just some fun practice battles. Now, of course, all of these teams do have potential alternatives. A lot of these Pokemon could be substituted out for other ones. There are particular Pokemon that are going to be very strong for this meta that I do not have access to. Some of these Pokemon include XL Medicham, going to be super OP. Sableye is an interesting one because usually Purified Sableye is what you want. Since there's no Azumarill, maybe Power Gem Sableye makes a return here. Other Pokemon like Drifloon, Jellicent. I think a Scavalier is a very strong sleeper pick that's going to perform very well in this meta. Kind of wish I had one. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comments section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so this first team is more of what I would consider a budget team for the Great League Remix. PvPoke, #1 resource for PvP in the world, rates this team a BCBB. So it's not great, however it's not bad either. We basically got a Wigglytuff lead here and 2 counters for the Steel leads in the back. So we do see a Steel lead here in Bastiodon. We swap out into Whiscash and the opponent comes out with a Chestnut. So I tried going for the Blizzard here, but it is CMP tie, so that forces me to burn a shield if I want to get this move off, which I do at this point. So we shield up the Energy Ball. I'm going to throw the Blizzard here, totally expecting a shield from the opponent. And at this point, they're probably going to have to throw another move because we should get to one remove before they're able to farm down. Probably wouldn't have got to a Blizzard though, so we got a bit lucky there. And the opponent's going to throw Energy here. It's actually a superpower, which means they're debuffed. At this point, because they are debuffed, I think the play is going to Toxicroak and try and commit to a complete farm down with counter. Now, looking at this team, yes, it's probably entirely weak to Tropius, but hopefully we won't see any of those if you are running this team. See, I do burn my shield there, and we successfully farm down the Chestnut. Let's see what they're going to come in with. The opponent's taking a lot of time here, and they come in with a Ninetales. So I actually hit a few more counters just in case they're looking to sack the Bastiodon, or not sack, but try to catch the move on the Bastiodon, which they didn't do. Hit one more counter, and I tried to throw the Sludge Bomb while their animation was going through for the Powder Snow so they couldn't switch. And we one-shot the Ninetales. At this point, Bastiodon comes back in. Toxicroak absolutely walls this thing. So we're going to throw a Mud Bomb and then complete the farm down with counter. Take that game against a very difficult lead right there, thanks to the farm down by Toxicroak and the Ninetales sort of cooperating in the back. Next team right here, this is a triple Weather Ball team. You can see the rating right here, CCAA. So not the greatest bulk. Not the greatest coverage, but Weather Ball is a pretty broken move here. We got Politoed in the lead with Pelipper and Alolan Ninetales in the back. Now, my Politoed is actually running Blizzard, but I do recommend Earthquake. I think Earthquake will be a lot better, especially with this team comp. We catch this move onto the Pelipper here. It's actually a power-up punch, so that's really nice. Opponent swaps out into Whiscash. So this is excellent for us because this is not a good matchup for Whiscash. So this means we're going to be able to take switch advantage here. I'm going to throw the Weather Ball, and the opponent's going to shield up. At this point, Blizzard won't KO, so we could let this go through and still survive. It is a Blizzard, which isn't great because now there is Mud Bomb pressure. However, they can't Mud Shot us down, so we're going to win this even in the 2 shields. It really doesn't matter at this point. Opponent lets that go through. We have to shield the Mud Bomb here, but we will outpace it to the next move. And the correct play for the opponent would be to let this Weather Ball go through because we are going to outpace them at this point. However, I believe the opponent does actually choose to shield here, which is definitely a mistake because I actually get to the next Weather Ball before they even get the Mud Bomb. So they can't even pressure my last shield. They lose switch as well as the shield advantage, and now this game is pretty much over. So Sableye comes in. We have the Ninetales here, or the Politoed. I actually choose to come with Politoed because we have just about 2 Weather Balls ready. I'm going to throw both of these at the Sableye, which is practically going to knock it out, and then swap out into my Charm Alolan Ninetales, which is going to have a very solid matchup, not only against the Sableye, which is pretty much done at this point, but also this Metachan, and we're going to be able to take this game, shielding up the Psychic there, and just commit to a straight farm down, have the Weather Ball ready, throw this at the 1 HP Sableye, and we're going to be able to take that game with triple Weather Ball. I think this is a very interesting team for the meta, and it's somewhat affordable as well. So next team we got here, this is the most meta team that I have listed. Registeel, Deoxys, Altaria. You can see the rating is pretty solid here. BA. I also think this team could work with either Registeel lead or Altaria lead. Actually, I think I prefer the Altaria lead a bit more, but for this video we are running Registeel lead, so that's fine. We get a Melmetal here. This is a horrible lead for Registeel. I'm actually going to build up for the Focus Blast, and I actually make a mistake here and farm past 100, and I still end up throwing the Focus Blast onto the Mew, so the opponent catches that. That was just really poorly played on my part. We swap out into Altaria here. This, if it's like Surf Wild Charge, should be a pretty solid matchup for Altaria here. So I'm going to take the first move. It is a Wild Charge. Now they've debuffed themselves. And I'm actually going to throw the Sky Attack because the next Wild Charge is going to apply a lot of pressure. I don't want to use a shield yet, so just let the Mew go down there and the Melmetal comes back in. No point to shield here, just let this go through. And now we're going to align our Deoxys onto the Melmetal. Deoxys has a very good matchup. Deoxys is in this cup, I know, and it's going to be very broken, I feel. A lot of people are going to be using it, so we might see a lot of Sableyes as a result. Altaria comes in here, going to throw this Rock Slide. At this point, basically, we just need to keep the Deoxys on the opponent's Melmetal, bring in the Registeel here, and save the shields for Deoxys. Deoxys should be able to close out this game with the shield advantage against the Melmetal. This Altaria can't beat us without using shields anyways on their Altaria, so they're going to throw Sky Attacks here, not doing too much. Altaria can beat Registeel in certain situations, however, not after taking that Rock Slide from the Deoxys first. So I'm going to throw another Flash Cannon, let that go through. Now the Melmetal is going to come back in, and of course they're going to have to Superpower here because Rock Slide isn't going to be enough to KO. And they actually go for Thunderbolt, so this opponent actually isn't even running Superpower, which is not the optimal moveset I think, but actually makes this matchup harder for us, because now they don't have to debuff themselves, so these moves are going to be doing more damage. And at this point, you just want to go straight counter. You don't want to throw any charge moves. Just use both shields, commit to the straight farm down counter, and you're going to be able to win this game. So that's a very solid team right there. I think that's a team you're going to be seeing a lot of in this meta. Let's take a look at the next team. This is a team that I actually want to run. Bastiodon lead with Meganium and Altaria in the back. I think that the back line is obviously very weak to ice types, so I think the idea is to try and draw out the ice type and then lock it in with the Bastiodon after it takes out either the Altaria or the Meganium. We got a positive lead here, Chestnut comes in. So pretty much hard counter city here, just bring in the Altaria. And because the Chestnut doesn't really threaten Altaria, we're just going to go for a straight farm down, complete farm down. I want to have 2 Sky Attacks ready to throw at this Wigglytuff when we leave this matchup. But this is a team that I think I'm going to actually test out for this meta, because I actually think Meganium is pretty solid. A lot of the things that counter Meganium are actually banned from this meta. You got Alolan Marowak, Skarmory, Galvantula, Venusaur. A lot of the things that beat Meganium are no longer in the meta, so you would think that would make it a lot better. But at the same time, its main target, Azumarill, is also gone, so is Stunfisk. So, I mean, it goes both ways, right? But I think Meganium is slightly underrated we'll see how it works. These PvP ranks, by the way, on the screen are their ranking for this specific meta. So the opponent swaps down to Hypno here. At this point, I'm actually going to come in with the Meganium. What I want to do here is waste the energy on the Hypno while also getting rid of some of its shields, because Bastiodon is going to be able to clean up in the back after. So Fire Punch comes through. We're going to be able to throw this Frenzy Plant here. We might be able to get to one more Frenzy Plant, which could get both shields from the Hypno, at which point Bastiodon is going to come in, and it'll probably be able to farm down from that range after the Hypno shields this side. Imagine they're probably going to commit to the farm down here, and then because the Bastiodon is probably going to take more damage from the Hypno than anything else, we're going to shield this in case it's like a Focus Blast, for example. It's most likely Fire Punch, Thunder Punch though, but you know, you want to be careful here. Definitely going to shield this one up as well, because these moves are going to be doing more damage than anything the Wigglytuff could throw at us. And we're just going to throw the Stone Edge here, and then that Wigglytuff took a lot of damage from the Sky attacks already, so this game's pretty much over. We just need to commit to the Smack Down, Farm Down, lay at the Smack Down here, like the rock on this Wigglytuff, get it out of here, and we win the game. So let's take a look at the next team. This is Bastiodon Double Fighter. Now I think this team will be very popular with XL Metacham. However, I do not have an XL Metacham. I have a Metacham, but not an XL one. So if your Metacham ain't XL, it's no longer good, pretty much. So we got a horrible lead here. I'm gonna swap out into Deoxys here. And Deoxys has a pretty solid matchup against the Politoed. I mean, it's not solid, but it's a pretty decent matchup in general. So the opponent not throwing the Earthquakes here, going straight Weather Ball, and we're going to look to bait with the Rock Slide. I think at this point, the fact that they're not switched out makes me think that they don't have a much better counter for Deoxys in the back, so they're probably going to be forced to shield no matter what at this point. And now I'm going to shield this up, hoping I can get to the next move before another Weather Ball comes through. And now I'm going to throw another Rock Slide here. And even if they don't shield, this is going to do enough damage, which they do shield though, and they swap out into the Ninetales here. It's a Powder Snow Ninetales. They pretty much locked themselves into this match against the Bastiodon, so they might have left with a Weather Ball stored, but honestly, Ninetales is not doing anything here. We're going to commit to the straight farm down, and then I'm going to have close to 2 Stone Edges ready to go. I'm going to throw one at the Politoed, might be CMP tie, but we'll see how this plays out. And Weather Ball comes through. This might be a triple Weather Ball team. That's what I was thinking at the time. It's probably Pelipper in the back, since they didn't want to face this Bastiodon. You can see Politoed comes in. We are going to shield this. I don't think Weather Ball would KO there actually, but going to shield anyways. It is CMP tie. Throw this Stone Edge here, which almost takes it out. Swap out into Machamp, and it is in fact a Pelipper. And this is the one situation where I think the Shadow Machamp would actually lose in the Zero Shield, so it's a bit better that we do have the regular Machamp here, because I'm not sure we could survive that Weather Ball if we were a Shadow. However, I do think the Shadow is better than the non-Shadow for most situations in this cup. So we take that game. Next matchup here, this is a pretty questionable team, and thinking here, you can see the coverage is a D. This is pretty much like a poor man's anti-Charmhole team, you know? It's like you got the coverage in the back for the Charmers, you got the Ninetales in the front for, like, say, the fighting or whatever. It's pretty much meant to just target Charmhole. And aside from that, you're probably going to lose every other match, so not the greatest team. However, I think that Charizard has some play in this meta. It seems like a pretty solid core breaker. It does have a good matchup against the Registeel, has some good matchups against the ice types. I think Charizard is a bit of a sleeper pick. Gonna go for the Flash Cannon here on the Hypno. We take that out. Chestnut comes in now, and at this point I'm just looking to land a Focus Blast here, which is going to do a lot of damage still to this Chestnut. Let's see how much this does. Boom, that's quite a lot. Chestnut going to overfarm, I'm sure, before throwing his superpower. They probably have 2 moves ready at this point. I'm going to come in with the Charizard here. This Charizard is running Fire Spin, so we're going to absolutely eat this Chestnut alive. Probably take another superpower right here. Not doing anything. Switch out into the Alolan Ninetales. And we got the Jellicent in the back. This isn't an amazing matchup, however, with the shield advantage, this should be pretty straightforward for the Ninetales. We do call the Shadow Ball there, which is huge. Going to build up for this Weather Ball, throw this. This won't be enough to KO the Jellicent. They do burn their shield though, which is all we want. Actually, I am running Dazzling Gleam here. I think if you're running Charm as the fast move, running Side Shock makes a bit more sense, because Charm already provides so much fairy coverage. but I was just too lazy to TM it at the time. But I think if you're running Charm, Dazzling Gleam, probably switch Dazzling Gleam for Psy Shock. Next matchup, here we go. Double Ice. You know the Iceman has to run some double ice in this meta. So let's see how this team performs. We got Deoxys lead here with 2 ice types in the back. So I kind of like the idea of this team, but this is probably the worst lead, or one of the worst leads you could see with this particular line, right? Because you can't really bring out one of the ice types to lure out their rock type or fighter or whatever, because they already got one there. So I try to store some energy before swapping out into my Ninetales. Now because we're running Charm, this isn't too bad. And because we sort of lowered the Deoxys already, Weather Ball on Charm is just absolutely insane. I think it takes 5 charms to get to Weather Ball, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. And the opponent swaps out into their own Ninetales, and because they're running Powder Snow, it's actually a very good matchup for us still. So I'm going to let this Weather Ball come through here, and then I'm going to overfarm a little bit before throwing our own Weather Ball. You could see these charms are absolutely chunking away at the opponent's Ninetales. They actually burn a shield there, and I swap out into Deoxys after getting their last shield to KO the Ninetales here with the Rock Slide that I stored earlier. Now they come in with Sableye, so this isn't looking too good, especially because our main counter for Sableye is somewhat low in health now. So we do throw the Rock Slide there, nice to get that chip damage. They're going for the complete farm now. Now, I actually decided to come in here with the Ninetales to force them to throw energy. And at this point, what I decide is I'm going to shield and see if I get off some charms before they get to the next move, which we are able to sneak in at least 2, I think, or 1. But look how low it is. Now it's in range of being farmed down by Powder Snow with the Abomasnow. We still have to be afraid of that Deoxys. Question here is, can we survive a Rock Slide? Because we just missed out on CMP here. Rock Slide comes through, we survive. Thankfully it was not CMP, so I could farm down there completely. Sableye comes back in. We're going to throw the Weather Ball here, and we're going to win this game against a very difficult team comp right there. Double Ice, not sure if it's a team I would recommend using, but it's a team that we used. Now speaking of teams that I don't recommend using, here is another one that is actually rated super high, and it consists of Registeel with Mantine and Meganium in the back. Now, with Registeel lead, Meganium in the back, this is the worst lead you could ever see, and I just think this is unfortunate because I don't really think you're going to see too many Charizards. And looking at this team now, maybe in hindsight it makes more sense to leave Mantine, have Registeel and Meganium in the back, so you can lure out the fire type when you bring it out. But the thing about Mantine is, it operates best as a safe switch, I feel, so maybe this isn't the best team to build around Mantine, even though how highly it's rated. But at the same time, I don't really think you're going to see too many Charizard leads in general. So this sort of ABA team in a sense, not really, but like, you know, the lead and the backline are both weak to fire. I think it'll be okay because there isn't going to be too much fire in this meta. At least I don't think there will be. I don't know, maybe it'll be like Litleo. Litleo could be pretty good. We'll see what happens once this meta actually begins. But this is really bad for us, and we also got the Dragon Claw bait earlier in the match, which meant that we had to go down 2 shields there. I couldn't swap out to Mantine, obviously, because Meganium's super weak. Had to stay in there. We wanted to get the Charizard low, so we had to burn some shields. We got a Hypno here, which is horrible for us, so I'm going to try and catch the Thunder Punch onto the Meganium. Sometimes these Maniacs throw Fire Punch expecting to switch. In this case, it is actually only a Thunder Punch, so that's really nice for us. But they are going to get to 1 more Fire Punch here, which we will be able to survive, of course, and we'll get off this Frenzy Plant, which will probably get the final shield. But things are not looking too good for us, so I'm going to throw the Frenzy Plant right here. It's really going to come down to what's in the back, and we do get to 1 more Frenzy Plant. Looks like the opponent actually stopped tapping there in order to get the switch out into the Charizard. They didn't want to get stuck in the confusion animation, catch that move, and here comes Toxicroak. We get farmed down. Mantine comes in, have no play here whatsoever because our health is too low. Mantine can win this match, but because we're so low, we're going to die from 1 Sludge Bomb. Go for the Bubble Beam here. I would need 2 Ice Beams to KO this, so even if I went for the first Ice Beam, this Sludge Bomb would end up knocking us out because it wouldn't have been debuffed. So it really doesn't matter what I did here, we would have ended up losing. So a pretty tough team comp there, and let's get into the next match. This is probably what people want to see. Charmhole right here. Wigglytuff and Alolan Ninetales, I think, are probably the 2 best Charmers in the meta. At least that's what I would probably use, but I guess there's like Togekiss and Gardevoir, Shadow Gardevoir. This is the worst lead ever you want to see when you're running this team, especially if Toxicroak is in the lead, because none of your Pokemon beat it. So I'm actually going to shield this up, hoping it is a Joron. I'm going for Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb does slightly more damage, but it is less energy efficient than Mud Bomb. So you could just go for Mud Bomb, but I'm really hoping this will actually land because I need all the damage I can get, and it does land. So the Melmetal comes in here, and of course we're getting hard countered pretty bad here. So we lose the lead, we lose switch. I go for the Weather Ball here. This actually, like, it still chunks away. As you can see here, the Melmetal is going to throw the Rock Slide. This won't KO, so we're still gonna get some charm damage through. And I think they're actually gonna throw again instead of having to take one more Weather Ball. So they are going to waste all their energy here. And we're gonna come back in with the Toxicroak. I'm gonna look to farm this thing down completely. Unfortunately, they do get to a move. I can't really shield this, so I have to let it go through. And now I'm going to throw the Mud Bomb immediately at this Beedrill and then swap out into my Wigglytuff, which isn't great. But the opponent, I think, makes a mistake here because they actually exit the matchup immediately into Registeel without storing a move on their Beedrill. So there is a win condition right now for us. And that win condition basically is coming to a Toxicroak, farming down completely, and having 2 Mud Bombs ready to go at the Beedrill because it did not farm energy for a move. So we shield up that Flash Can to race now, farm down versus Flash Can, we get there. We're at the 2 Mud Bombs, gonna throw this first one at the Beedrill. I think we might actually be a bit short. Can we outpace it to the next move? We need one more counter. We get to the Mud Bomb. We are going to beat a double steal line with Beedrill lead using Charmhole. After this match, I actually got mad at my friend for running this and losing because I said, you know, because you lost this, people are going to want to run Charmhole after seeing this. So those were the battles featuring some teams for the Great League Remix. This video is just intended to give you some team ideas. I don't expect people to actually use these specific teams here, but I do think you might encounter teams with similar ideas like this in your battles. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.